The things that are happening in this world on various levels, political levels, national issues, and they're the same things that have been going on for tens of thousands of years. I'm afraid that our efforts will take much longer than we want them to, but again, we have to make the effort.
We can't change our history. We can come and address the history, and I think we'd see tremendous benefit from that.
I do think racial justice is possible. If we don't take the time to learn and listen and recognize what white privilege has, how it has formed us, how it's formed our society, our structures, our companies, our world, we are not going to see racial justice. The other piece that I tend to overlook sometimes is that we are not going to do this alone. If we don't make space for God in that process, I don't think we'll be successful.
Conversations about reparations, they can be difficult conversations to have because we've been so miseducated about our past and who we are. You have to kind of push through this whole myth of exceptionalism, that we've always done the right thing and we've always, been the exception to the empires of the past. That, even when we do bad things, it has a good intent. Do we have the moral imagination to see that a different world is possible?
This is family history for me, and the issues of justice around being able to restore what was harmed. That's some pretty serious, spiritual, sacred business.
Being in the Twin Cities area, we have quite a history, especially with people of color, in that there are things that we need to confess through our past, and also the indigenous folks. This church was founded by two missionaries who spoke to the indigenous people and brought them into a Sunday school.
Oak Grove is one of the congregations here in this region that was formed by persons who were settling here based on the colonies of this country that were expanding and moving west. So being able to be very honest about the truth of that history, and to be able to say, when we arrived, there were other people already here. This is the homeland of the Dakota people and the big nations that interacted with the Dakota people, because there are, within the boundaries of our Synod, there are over 50 federally recognized tribal nations. And so geographically, what's specific right here in this region with Dakota people is a story, though, that's repeated all within our boundaries. But it does take people being receptive to this concept of saying, what is the truth? How do we not just recognize, but reconcile who we are now with the people that arrived here and helped form this church?
We have this wealth. Is this really our wealth, or is this come from on the backs of others, like the indigenous and people of color?
There were no shortage of people telling me reparations is a great idea in theory, but there's a certain kind of person who's never going to get on board with reparations. So what are you going to do about that?
That time period was when we were still processing the impunity George Zimmerman got. And then he was Jamar Clark. And then there was Philando Castile. And you had people in the congregation who expressed things like, well, we don't really know what happened because we didn't see the whole tape. Let's just trust what the courts decide.
Right.
And it was that kind of thing where it just made me wonder, is it possible to really preach the gospel in this zip code and not just completely wail on people Sunday after Sunday? Because it's like, if you can't believe your own eyes in the 21st century, like, what could preaching possibly do for you?
after I'd gotten that phone call from you, it really changed my calculation about the time frame for really making a hard push for reparations. It allowed me to stop counting out a certain demographic of people as possible partners in the work of reparation, and it helped me take the space of cynicism and pessimism and replace that with thinking in terms of strategy. What can we do to help make it clearer to people that reparations are right and necessary and possible?
I was on session and I was really excited because I feel like me personally, and actually all of us, are here to be lights in this world. And if by giving up some wealth, we can help build bridges and not walls, then that's what we're here to do.
We can't be afraid of how all of the congregation is going to feel about something. We have to do the work knowing that it will cause potential conflict, knowing that some folks may decide to leave the congregation, knowing that some people may be unhappy. But if we're not about this work, then I'm not sure what the church is for.
This is difficult. This requires you to make decisions that perhaps aren't obvious decisions between right and wrong. And I think when people can see that other Christian people who look like them or who they resonate with for whatever reason cross that Rubicon and are still intact, perhaps are even better than before, I think that it emboldens people and it gives them courage to realize, like, okay, like I'm in good company, or this difficulty that I'm having or this fear that I'm having isn't because I'm inherently a bad person, but it's because I'm making a transition, and the transition feels like trauma. We do a disservice to our own spiritual tradition if we don't honor the initial and minor steps. Because I think that's where you see the work of the Holy Spirit, is when somebody goes from just 2 feet firmly planted in no to then saying, well, let me try it out. Let me see.
I feel a growing momentum toward it at local levels.
Right.
And that's why I've got more confidence that at least that at that level,
Right.
It's going to continue to gain momentum because it is right.
Our kids grew up in the church. The day that our session voted to give this gift to the Restorative Giving Project, I called up Jeremy and I said, guess what? I was so excited. Part of me was proud, and I'm like, you shouldn't be proud, but I kind of am. I said, this is what we did. We voted to give this amount of money to this Restorative Giving Project. And Jeremy said, well, good, that's what churches should do. I mean, it was kind of like, oh yeah, I guess you're right, but it's not often what we're known for. Yeah. So